In this lesson, we are going to be looking at applications of simultaneous equations in real-world contexts. In this lesson, you will learn how to formulate a pair of linear equations in two variables to solve real-life problems. Let us start off by taking a look at textbook page 24, practice now 10, question 1. In this question, we are given that the sum of two numbers is 36 and their difference is 9. We want to find the two numbers. So if you recall from what we learned in Sec 1, where we want to actually solve a problem using algebra, my advice to you back then was to let the unknown be x. But in this case, there are two unknowns because there are two numbers. So naturally, we will be thinking of letting the variables, letting the variables x and y be the two numbers, such that in this case I will let x to be greater than y. The reason why I have this condition over here such that x is greater than y, I hope you recall this inequality sign, it means greater than. So the reason why I have this inequality, it is because I am going to be talking about the difference. So when mentioning about difference or calculating difference, we are actually taking the larger number minus away the smaller number. So when we are given the variables x and y, I do not know which is larger and which is smaller. Hence, I have this condition here, which is something that I set for myself. So you can decide on your own what is the variable that you want to be larger. So you can choose y greater than x, but in this case, I decided to have x greater than y. So in this very short sentence given to us, there are two pieces of information that is important. The first piece of information that is important is that the sum of the two numbers is 36. So what this translates into algebraically is that x plus y, which are our two numbers, they add up to be equals to 36. And that forms our first equation. Then there is this second piece of information in the sentence that says that the difference is 9. So since I've already defined x to be greater than y, the difference will be then to take x minus away y, and that should be equals to 9. And that will give us our second equation. So this is how we form the two equations that we need in order to figure out the two unknowns. Whenever we have two unknowns, we need two equations in order to solve for the value. So just like if I have only one unknown, I actually only need one equation. Two unknowns, I need two equations. So going down this pattern, it means that three unknowns, I need three equations. But of course, we are not going to be handling that kind of situations at our secondary school level. So now that we have formed our equation, we will solve this algebraically by making use of what we have already learned. We can either do our elimination method or our substitution method. I will find that in this question, doing our elimination method might be easier, but of course it's perfectly up to you what method you would prefer. So in our elimination method, which is what I'm going to use to demonstrate this question, what would you want to eliminate? Which variable do you want to eliminate? The x or the y? Again, that is solely your decision. In my example over here, I have decided to eliminate away x, for which both x's are positive. So I will take equation 1 minus away equation 2, such that I have this over here. X plus y minus x minus y with the relevant brackets equals to 36 minus 9. Upon expansion, I will have x plus y minus x plus y equals to 27, because the minus and minus over here gives us a plus. So x minus x becomes 0, my x is eliminated, so I will have 2y equals to 27, hence y is equals to 13.5. So now that I have found y, I need to find out the value of x. So substituting y equals to 13.5 into equation 1, or you can put it into equation 2, you will be able to find that x plus 13.5 is equals to 36, and therefore x is equals to 22.5. So with this set of calculation, not forgetting to answer the question wants us to find the two numbers. So I will write the concluding statement to say that therefore the two numbers are 13.5 and 22.5. I hope this question helps you to understand how is it that we can form our equation. Okay, but more importantly, we need to be able to define the variable first. So very often in our questions, sometimes, or rather not very often, but sometimes, okay, they will actually require you to define your own variable. So you must know how to let x or y or whatever letter be the unknown that you have. Next, we take a look at question 2. It says that 1/3 of the sum of two angles is 60 degrees. And 1/4 of their difference is 28 degrees. We want to find the two angles. So similar to what we did in question 1, we have two different things that we want to find. In this case, it is the two angles. So we will define our x and y variables be the two angles. Okay. In this case, because there's also a mention of difference, I will have x greater than y. So that in my difference, I will later on take x minus away y. Okay, so, let me go back. Okay, in the very first sentence, there's two pieces of information again that is important. The first one would be that 1/3 of the sum of two angles is 60 degrees. So 1/3 of the sum of two angles. It means that the sum comes first. So we need to add x and y together. Then we take the 1/3. So x plus y needs to be found in brackets. So I will form my equation as such. 1/3 times x plus y equals to 60. So that is my first equation. Then in my second equation, I make use of the second piece of information. That is 1/4 of their difference is 28 degrees. So 1/4 of their difference. So the difference is actually x minus y since x is greater. And then we take 1/4 out of it. So the equation that we need to form will be 1/4 times x minus y equals to 28. So this will be our two equations that we will form. Noticing that there are fractions over here which may not be the best for us in terms of calculation, okay, we will want to maybe perhaps reconsider having this fraction by doing some form of manipulation. So from the first equation, what I can do is I can so-called take this 1/3 over to the right by dividing. So 60 divided by 1/3 will give me x plus y. And 60 divided by 1/3, upon pressing our calculator, we get 180. So that forms our third equation. We do something similar to our second equation. So we will have x minus y to be equals to 28 divided by 1/4. And therefore, x minus y is equals to 112. And that gives us our fourth equation. So with our third and fourth equation over here, we see that we can do our elimination method. If you prefer the substitution method, go ahead. But in this case, doing the elimination method, I would consider eliminating away x. And that can be done so by taking equation 3 minus equation 4. And that will leave us with this. Upon expansion, I will be able to get this. And it simplifies to 2y equals to 68. And therefore y is equals to 34, and after that we will find our value of x by substituting y into either one of the equation. So I substituted it into equation 3, and I have x plus 34 equals to 180, hence x is equals to 180 minus 34, that is 146. So with that, we are able to find the two angles. So the first angle is 146 degrees, the other angle is 34 degrees. So we will conclude the question by writing a statement. The two angles are 146 degrees and 34 degrees. I hope that with this question it helps you to understand how again we can formulate the equations, although in this case it requires a little bit of a deeper understanding of your algebraic expression formulation. We will now take a look at question 3 from practice now 10 as well. Something slightly different, we have a diagram given to us that is a rectangle. So in this case, it says that the figure shows a rectangle with its length and breadth as indicated. So let's take a closer look at the figure over here. This is a rectangle. We are told that this length here is x plus y plus 2, while this length here is 2x plus 1. Whereas for the breadth, we have this 2y cm over here, and on the other side, I have x plus 2. We want to find the perimeter of the rectangle. In this case, we do not need to define a variable because we already know our x and y over here. So you do not need to let x be parameter. We shouldn't be doing that because the question defined x in a different manner. So we should not have any contradiction or conflicting definitions. Okay, so how do we then form our equation? Keeping in mind that this is a rectangle, what is a unique property about rectangles? We are given the length, okay, and the breadth. So a unique property about rectangles is that the opposite lengths, okay, should actually be equal to each other. Meaning to say that x plus y plus 2 should be equals to 2x plus 1. And that is how we form our first equation. Then for our second equation, our breadth should actually be equal to each other as well. So 2y equals to x plus 2. So that's our second equation. So with these two equations, perhaps you may want to simplify things a little bit, since in our first equation we have a x here and a 2x here. Okay, so if I were to simplify that, it will mean that I can maybe move your 2x and your 1 to the left side of the equation, and we arrive at negative x plus y plus 1 equals to 0. We can make y the subject, okay, and that will mean x minus 1. So this is my equation 3. So since I have my equation formed in such a manner, I can do my substitution method into 2y equals to x plus 2. Okay, so I will be able to arrive at 2 times x minus 1 equals to x plus 2. This expands out to be 2x minus 2 equals to x plus 2. We continue to simplify it, and we arrive at x equals to 4. We do not want to forget the objective of the question. The objective of the question is to find out the parameter. So we have only found out the value of x. We need to know the value of y as well in order to know the length and the breadth. So substituting x equals to 4 into equation 3 will help us to efficiently find the value of y. That will give us 3. So the length, okay, I decided to use 2x plus 1. You may of course use x plus y plus 2. The length will then be equals to 9 centimeters, followed by the breadth, which is equals to 2y cm. You could also use x plus 2 for calculating the breadth, and that will give us 6 centimeters. So with the length and the breadth, we can calculate the parameter, which is 2 times the length plus 2 times the breadth. Hence, my parameter is equals to 2 times 9 plus 2 times 6 equals to 30 centimeters. So this is one unique question because we do not need to define a variable. The unknown is already given to us. And what is also unique about this question is that it does not challenge us in translating English statements, okay, English or rather mathematical statements into equations. We need to understand the property of a rectangle, okay, in order to derive these two equations. So sometimes we really need to have a deep understanding about the diagram or whatever shapes we're given to know what are the properties in order to generate these equations. Let us now move on to practice now 11, question 1, that is found in your textbook page 25. So in this question it says that in 5 years time, Li Ting's father will be 3 times as old as Li Ting. Then, 4 years ago, her father was 6 times as old as her. We want to find their present ages. So using the strategy that I shared with you earlier, given that we want to find some unknown, okay, which is their present ages, and there are two people over here, we will let them be the variable, let the variables be these unknowns. So I have defined X to be Li Ting's present age and Y to be her father's present age. Okay, so there are two people, I let one of them be X and then the other one be Y years old. Alright. However, this context is a little bit tricky because we're looking at different timelines actually. So in the first sentence, we are told that in 5 years' time. So let's think about what are their ages in 5 years' time first, before dabbling into this part of the sentence. So in 5 years' time, what's going to happen is that Li Ting's age will be X plus 5. The age will naturally increase by 5 years. Likewise, her father's age is going to be Y plus 5. So the question says that the father will be 3 times as old as Li Ting. In other words, Y plus 5 is equals to 3 times Li Ting's age, which is X plus 5. So that helps us to form our first equation. So now that if you understand what I've just said over here, how do you think we can form the equation based on the second sentence? So we will have to take a look at 4 years ago. Li Ting's age will be X minus 4 because that is 4 years ago. And then her father's age will be Y minus 4. So we're always taking with reference to the present age. And then from there we either move 5 years ahead or 4 years ago. So then in the question it says that the father was 6 times as old as her. So the father's age, which is Y minus 4, which is equals to 6 times X minus 4. That helps us to form our second equation. So comparing our first and second equation, we see that we can do elimination over here since there is one Y here and one Y over here. Okay, we don't have Y's elsewhere in the equation. So I will take equation 1 minus away equation 2 in order to eliminate away the variable Y. Oops, sorry. So I will have Y plus 5 minus away Y minus 4 equals to 3 times X plus 5 minus 6 times X minus 4. I will then open up my brackets by doing expansion such that I arrive at this equation, and that helps, that simplifies into 9 equals to negative 3x plus 39 because Y minus Y is already gone. Okay, and then the simplification of the right hand side of the equation. I'll continue in this space over here. So this means that 3x is equals to 39 minus 9, and that is equals to 30, and x is equals to 10. So when I substitute x equals to 10 into equation 1, it will help me to find out the value of y, and that brings us to a value of 40. So the father's present age is actually 40, and Li Ting's present age is actually 10. And with that, we are done with this question. Now we take a look at question 2, found in practice now 11. We are going to revisit Gardens by the Bay. I hope that you recall our trip to Gardens by the Bay last year, okay, for our Math Trail or Math Explorer activity. So to visit the 2 conservatories at Gardens by the Bay, we have 11 adults and 5 children having to pay $280, whereas 14 adults and 9 children have to pay $388. We want to find the total amount a family of 2 adults and 3 children has to pay to visit the 2 conservatories. So there are 2 unknowns over here. That is the ticket price for adults and the ticket price for children. So we can define it as such, where we let the cost of 1 adult ticket be X dollars and the cost of 1 child ticket will be Y dollars. So from the given information, it says 11 adults, which would be 11x dollars, and 5 children, that will be 5y dollars. It will sum up to be $280. So when forming an equation, we do not need to put in units. We just have to write 11x plus 5y equals to 280. So that will be how we form the first equation. I will give you some time now. Okay, I'll pause for a while for you to think about how could we form the second equation based on the remaining sentence. I hope that you are able to see that it should be 14x plus 9y equals to 388. So after forming these two equations, we need to find out the value of x and y so that I can find out the cost for 2 adults and 3 children. So looking at this equation, it is not very clear to us to eliminate anything. Okay, so to do substitution might also be a little bit challenging because we might be dealing with fractions actually. So let's go with elimination method, but we need to ensure that one of the variable is the same. Okay, so in this case, I chose to actually eliminate away y. That means my equation 1 need to multiply by 9 in order to achieve the lowest common multiple 45. Likewise, in equation 2, I will have to multiply by 5 in order to achieve a 45y. So equation 1 times 9 will help me to arrive at this equation 3, and then my equation 2 times 5 will help me to arrive at this equation 4. So now that we have equation 3 and 4 and 45y is equal in both equations, I can take equation 3 minus away equation 4, such that it expands out into this and simplifies into 29x equals to 580. Upon solving, I will find that x is equals to 20. Keep in mind that we need to find the value of y. So substituting x equals to 20 into equation 1, we can find that the value of y is actually equals to 12. So one child ticket is $12 and one adult ticket is $20. Not forgetting that we are trying to solve this question here, which is to find the cost of 2 adults for 2 adults and 3 children. So that means that our cost will be 2x plus 3y, and that will give us $76. Okay, so with this, we have come to the end of learning how to formulate equations, simultaneous linear equations in fact, to help us solve real-world problems. I hope that you have gained some clarity in knowing how to form the equations. Otherwise, I'll see you again in the next lesson and you could ask me when we meet each other. Have a good day. Bye bye.